The Luftwaffe intelligence briefing that reached Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring's headquarters in Berlin during August 1943 contained aerial formation reports that seemed to defy every principle of strategic bombing and Air Force organization. The classified document claimed that American bombers had launched a single raid employing over 1,000 four-engine aircraft, suggesting operational capabilities that violated fundamental assumptions about strategic aviation and bomber formation logistics. "This is impossible aerial propaganda," Göring declared to his fighter command staff, studying reconnaissance photographs of American bomber formations that appeared to stretch across entire horizons. "No air force in history has possessed the industrial capacity to deploy thousands of heavy bombers simultaneously. Strategic bombing requires precision coordination that cannot be achieved with such massive formations. These Americans must be including training aircraft in their operational counts." These were experienced German aviation commanders who understood strategic bombing through years of tactical development and operational experience that had established European air doctrine through systematic precision and technological excellence. The concept of thousand-bomber raids seemed to violate fundamental principles of aviation logistics that demanded manageable formation sizes over overwhelming numerical deployment. They could not fathom they were witnessing the transformation of strategic bombing from tactical operations to industrial warfare, or that American bomber production would enable sustained thousand-aircraft raids that would revolutionize aerial warfare through systematic destruction capability that overwhelmed German air defenses through unprecedented numerical superiority and continuous bombardment operations. Reichsmarschall Hermann Göring stood on the observation deck of his luxurious Carenhall estate, watching formations of Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters practicing interception maneuvers that embodied German confidence in air defense superiority through innovative fighter tactics and systematic pilot training excellence. As Supreme Commander of the Luftwaffe, Göring represented German assumptions about air quality triumphing over quantity through superior technology and professional aviation standards that had established German aerial dominance. German strategic bombing doctrine that Göring understood emphasized precision tactical strikes, coordinated formation attacks, and systematic target selection that maximized destruction through careful operational planning and technological excellence. German air operations prioritized strategic effectiveness over numerical deployment, emphasizing tactical precision rather than overwhelming force through manageable formation sizes that enabled superior coordination. The sophisticated aircraft that German aviation employed included advanced fighters, precision bombers, and specialized support aircraft that represented pinnacle achievements in aviation engineering through systematic development and operational experience. German Air Force had proven tactical superiority through mathematical combat effectiveness that exceeded Allied aviation capabilities through individual aircraft excellence and superior pilot training programs. Intelligence analysis of Allied bomber operations suggested enemy forces remained constrained by conventional formation limitations, coordination challenges, and logistical bottlenecks that prevented massive aerial deployments. German aviation planners calculated that Allied bomber operations would remain limited to manageable formation sizes while maintaining acceptable operational effectiveness through traditional strategic bombing approaches. Strategic doctrine that incorporated German air advantages, assumed technological superiority, would enable continued aerial dominance through superior aircraft performance and systematic defensive coordination. Democratic air forces could allegedly never achieve massive formation deployments while maintaining operational effectiveness that characterized professional Air Force organization through disciplined tactical approaches. Economic calculations performed by German aviation economists revealed Allied industrial capacity divided between civilian aircraft production and limited military requirements, suggesting resource constraints that prevented massive bomber fleet development. Aluminum allocation and skilled aviation personnel appeared insufficient for 1,000 aircraft operations requiring unprecedented coordination and logistical support systems. Cultural assumptions about American aviation organization suggested inefficient operational methods and individualistic rather than systematically coordinated approaches that would prevent massive formation operations. German aviation ideology characterized democratic air forces as undisciplined and disorganized, compared to German systematic efficiency and professional aviation discipline that prioritized tactical effectiveness. Combat statistics from 1939 to 1942 seemed to validate German assumptions about strategic bombing effectiveness and operational advantages over Allied air forces worldwide. German aviation units had achieved remarkable success through superior tactical coordination and systematic operational planning that appeared impossible for massive enemy formations to achieve through overwhelming numerical deployment. General Henry Hap Arnold, commanding general of the U.S. Army Air Forces, walked through the sprawling Boeing Seattle facility, observing revolutionary production techniques that would transform strategic bombing through industrial mass production methods adapted for heavy bomber manufacturing. The military aviation commander was coordinating unprecedented bomber production with operational planning that would fundamentally challenge German assumptions about strategic air warfare limitations. The B-17 Flying Fortress and B-24 Liberator programs that American industry developed represented complete departure from traditional bomber operations that emphasized manageable formation sizes over systematic mass deployment for strategic bombing. American bomber doctrine prioritized overwhelming numerical superiority, sustained operations capability, and industrial replacement rates rather than tactical precision alone, enabling formation sizes that completely exceeded German aviation calculations. Production coordination that American aviation achieved included revolutionary manufacturing schedules synchronized with operational planning, crew training programs, and logistical support systems that enabled unprecedented bomber deployment capabilities. American industrial experience had created manufacturing efficiency that supported 1,000 aircraft operations through civilian expertise applied to military aviation requirements and systematic operational coordination. Workforce mobilization supporting bomber operations included comprehensive aircrew training programs, maintenance personnel development, and ground support coordination that created human resources adequate for massive formation operations. Democratic educational systems produced abundant aviation personnel through competitive instruction, merit-based advancement, and systematic operational skills development that exceeded traditional Air Force training limitations. Operational coordination across American bomber commands included formation planning, target coordination, and mission synchronization that enabled unprecedented operational scales through systematic planning and democratic organizational methods. Command coordination exceeded German aviation capabilities through competitive cooperation and systematic resource allocation that enabled 1,000 aircraft operations through civilian expertise applied to military coordination. Tactical innovation that American bomber operations employed included formation defensive techniques, coordinated bombing patterns, and systematic target selection that maximized destruction effectiveness while enabling massive formation deployment. American aviation had achieved operational effectiveness through scientific approaches rather than traditional tactical methods, proving that systematic coordination could enable unprecedented operational scales. Strategic planning that incorporated thousand-bomber capabilities included comprehensive target analysis, industrial warfare doctrine, and sustained bombing campaign coordination that would maximize strategic effectiveness across European theaters. American military aviation strategy integrated production advantages into operational planning that assumed unlimited bomber availability and continuous replacement capability through industrial superiority. Training acceleration continued throughout bomber crew development as American programs produced qualified personnel through systematic instruction while maintaining operational schedules that traditional methods could never sustain. Competitive pressure encouraged rapid crew development that exceeded conventional aviation training cycles while ensuring operational compatibility and sustained mission capability. August 17, 1943. German radar operators across occupied Europe reported incoming bomber formations that challenged every fundamental assumption about strategic bombing operations and aviation logistics. American formations approaching Schweinfurt and Regensburg included over 1,000 four-engine bombers operating simultaneously, suggesting operational capabilities that German aviation considered mathematically impossible for coordinated aerial warfare. Mathematical analysis that German aviation planners performed revealed American bomber deployment exceeding 1,000 aircraft in single operations, while German strategic bombing had never exceeded 500 aircraft across all operational theaters. Enemy aviation capabilities had achieved systematic operational scales that completely violated traditional assumptions about formation, coordination, complexity, and logistical requirements that German Air Force had always considered fundamental limitations. Statistical verification through multiple radar installations confirmed American bomber operations that included coordinated formations, systematic navigation, and synchronized bombing that enabled mathematically impossible operational scales for strategic aviation. Enemy operations had achieved unprecedented coordination that exceeded German aviation organization through democratic operational methods and civilian expertise applied to military aviation coordination. Operational reconnaissance of American bomber formations revealed coordination techniques that eliminated traditional formation limitations in favor of systematic operational approaches adapted from civilian aviation methods for military applications. Democratic Aviation Organization had achieved military operations through competitive rather than centralized authoritarian methods and systematic operational optimization that exceeded traditional aviation approaches. Resource calculations demonstrated American bomber operations that exceeded entire German aviation fuel allocations, while simultaneously maintaining training operations and comprehensive replacement programs. Democratic aviation had achieved operational abundance that centralized command methods could never duplicate through systematic efficiency and competitive innovation in aviation operations that rendered German operational assumptions obsolete. Coordination analysis revealed American bomber operations synchronized across continental distances with communication systems that dramatically exceeded German operational capabilities and organizational systems. Enemy aviation organization demonstrated systematic coordination that exceeded authoritarian operational planning through competitive cooperation and democratic resource allocation methods in aviation operations. Technology assessment based on intercepted American bomber formations revealed operational capabilities that equaled German coordination standards while being deployed in formations that German aviation considered physically impossible without sacrificing effectiveness. Mass operations had achieved tactical coordination through systematic methods rather than traditional individual attention that characterized German aviation operational philosophy. The statistical impossibility had become undeniable operational reality that forced German acknowledgement of democratic advantages in aviation organization that exceeded authoritarian alternatives through competitive efficiency and systematic abundance in bomber operations that would fundamentally alter strategic bombing through operational superiority rather than individual tactical excellence. October 14, 1943. The Second American Raid on Schweinfurt revealed devastating effectiveness of thousand-bomber operations, as over 1,400 Allied aircraft participated in coordinated strikes while maintaining formation integrity that exceeded German interception capabilities. The mathematical superiority of American operations had translated into overwhelming strategic bombing dominance that rendered German air defense philosophy strategically inadequate through systematic operational abundance. Tactical deployment that American bomber abundance enabled included multiple formation waves operating simultaneously across German airspace while maintaining coordination capabilities that German fighter forces could never counter despite individual aircraft superiority and pilot training advantages. American operations had eliminated traditional strategic bombing constraints through systematic abundance and coordinated replacement that exceeded conventional aviation warfare limitations. German fighter pilots discovered combat situations where destroying individual bombers achieved minimal strategic impact because American formation strength exceeded German interception capabilities through operational abundance. Mathematical relationships had shifted decisively toward Allied aviation through operational capacity rather than individual combat effectiveness or tactical excellence that had characterized traditional strategic bombing approaches. Combat statistics from sustained bombing operations documented German fighter losses that could not be replaced, while American bomber formations maintained operational strength through continuous replacement and systematic crew rotation programs. Operational abundance had created strategic sustainability that exceeded German response possibilities and resource allocation capabilities through democratic aviation organization. Intelligence analysis by German fighter commands revealed American operational capabilities that dramatically exceeded strategic planning assumptions while demonstrating aviation organization that surpassed authoritarian efficiency through democratic coordination methods. Enemy capabilities had achieved systematic advantages that traditional military aviation could not anticipate or counter effectively through conventional interception approaches. Psychological impact on German fighter pilots included recognition that individual combat excellence could not influence strategic outcomes when facing formations with unlimited replacement capabilities and continuous operational deployment. Tactical victory had become strategically meaningless against American operational abundance and systematic bomber deployment that exceeded traditional aviation warfare mathematics. Operational advantages that American bomber production provided included aircraft availability, crew replacement, and sustained mission capability that maintained bombing effectiveness under extended campaigns across multiple targets. Systematic operations exceeded German capabilities despite homeland air defense advantages and theoretically superior interior coordination lines. The Schweinfurt nightmare demonstrated American bomber operations had fundamentally altered strategic bombing mathematics through operational capabilities that rendered traditional air defense obsolete when facing systematic abundance combined with adequate coordination and continuous replacement capability that exceeded conventional aviation limitations. May 8, 1945. As Nazi Germany surrendered unconditionally following devastating Allied bombing campaigns, the final accounting of American bomber operations revealed numbers that had redefined strategic warfare. Over 12,000 heavy bombers deployed in 1,000 aircraft raids that averaged 1,200 bombers per major operation, creating destruction capabilities that had overwhelmed German air defenses through unprecedented systematic operational abundance. Strategic validation that American bomber operations provided confirmed operational coordination as the decisive factor in strategic bombing, while demonstrating democratic advantages in aviation organization, resource allocation, and tactical application that exceeded totalitarian alternatives through competitive innovation and systematic operational optimization. Democratic aviation organization had proven superior to authoritarian approaches through mathematical evidence. Hermann Göring's post-war acknowledgement included recognition that German air superiority had been strategically defeated by American operational capabilities that exceeded every calculation of democratic aviation potential and bomber coordination capacity. 1,000 aircraft operations had rendered individual fighter excellence strategically irrelevant through overwhelming numerical superiority and coordinated operational deployment. Operational efficiency that American bomber coordination achieved included dramatic effectiveness, increase through formation deployment, while maintaining strategic impact that exceeded traditional bombing methods. Competitive aviation had proven systematically superior to centralized organization for sustained strategic operations and tactical advancement across global bombing campaigns. International cooperation through American bomber operations included coordination with Allied air forces that enhanced collective strategic capabilities while demonstrating American operational capacity beyond domestic requirements. Democratic values had created sustainable assistance through systematic operational sharing and strategic coordination programs. Technological legacy of American bomber operations influenced post-war strategic aviation through revolutionary coordination techniques, systematic operational principles, and scientific effectiveness methods that transformed global strategic bombing standards. Scientific advancement had created lasting advantages through systematic research and competitive operational innovation. Operational development that enabled American bomber success demonstrated democratic society's ability to coordinate massive resources through systematic planning and competitive efficiency, rather than authoritarian control. Democratic systems had produced operational capabilities that exceeded totalitarian alternatives through systematic coordination and merit-based operational advancement. The 1,000-bomber triumph had proven that democratic aviation organization could achieve systematic advantages over traditional Air Force excellence through competitive innovation, systematic coordination, and abundant operational deployment that totalitarian aviation systems could never match through centralized control or authoritarian operational allocation alone. If this incredible story of how American 1,000-bomber raids overwhelmed German air defenses through systematic operational abundance amazed you, make sure to subscribe for more tales of democratic aviation triumph.